Trump versus Harris middle ground. Why do y'all want me to watch this, bro? Oh, Hasanabi head in the building. Okay.
Third world is offensive to me, bro. Because
really?
you're talking about a
Did Kasia reach out to you about Khalif Williams before the execution? No.
subhuman.
No,
You're talking
it's not
about
that
people
it's a
who aren't as
subhuman.
developed as we are, so they're the third world.
So if you're stoning women after they've been
In the
hold on,
Bible, bro, not
no.
Damn, dog, he got it. There's a big epidemic of Haitians stoning women after they got, or Venezuelans, or whatever the this guy's argument is. That's cool. I did VIP Mason, yeah.
From Iran, and it happens now.
Another day, another episode of Middle Ground. Hi, my name is John. I am the host of Radical Empathy, and I will be moderating today's episode between Harris supporters and Trump supporters.
Like,
our first prompt is...
The video is loud, I know. It's like much louder to me. I don't know
no matter
why.
what my candidate does, I will still vote for
I
them.
gotta pee.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said if Trump came out in a crowd and just started, yelling at people, calling them stupid, or like did something crazy, that I wouldn't still vote for him. It would have to be like walk out in Times Square, shoot someone in the face kind of thing. Like, it would have to be something outrageous for me to not vote for him right now, and that is only because these are the only two choices I have, which sucks for us as American people. We should have a lot more choice in this. We should have had more debates. We should have had more people involved in the debates. It would take a lot for me not to vote for him, just because I care so much about securing our country and my right to own firearms.
So for me, we know Kamala's character, and so even thinking if she does the worst thing ever, would I still vote for her? Yeah, because I know the worst thing that she could do wouldn't even be the best thing that Trump does, right? Like, the bars are very different. In addition to that, of course I'm going to vote for her, because Trump is such a terrible alternative. I'm afraid to see what our country would look like.
I'm voting for Kamala for pragmatic reasons. January 6th made Trump ineligible in my eyes. He's a traitor. He disrupted 200 years of peaceful transfer of power for his own selfish reasons that he now admits that he lost by a whisker. Sarcastically, according to him.
Let's bring in our disagreeers.
People that get like really upset at Donald Trump for January 6th are so funny to me. It's like our entire system is fundamentally broken, dude. Like, it's like, I'm sorry. Out of all the things that Donald Trump did, okay, awful, okay, senseless deregulation, so aggressive that like even certain big oil participants had to be like, all right, dude, we're actually bag a little too much. And insane tax cuts for the mega wealthy and corporations for absolutely zero reason at a time, for record high profits, like completely the pandemic response that led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans. Like, there's so many things that you could point to that, like, I'm sorry, January 6th does not even reach the top 5. Okay, the intensity in which people talk about January 6th, or like Donald Trump's desperate attempts at trying to, in the stupidest way possible, overturn the results of an election, is hilarious to me. It's like, dude, this country sucks. Okay, it sucks. It sucks. We don't have health care. We barely have any sort of financial help for people that are suffering, and you're over here, we're giving unlimited dollars to, genocide dares all across the globe. We spend way more time, effort, and emphasis on like maintaining America's global posture, which is death and destruction. And you're over here, no gun control, abortion rights have been taken away, and you're over here being like, man, that January 6th thing, it's like really mad. It makes me so mad. He tried to steal the election. It's like, bro, the system is collapsing in front of your eyes, and you're most frustrated about that? Come on, dude.
I'll go first again. Like, one of these two people are getting in. Right now, my choice is Kamala Harris. That doesn't mean that anything that she does is going to keep that support. My biggest issue right now is the genocide going on in Gaza, propagated by both the Trump administration and the Biden administration. You could say that prior to October 7th, there was peace going on between Israel and Gaza, as I've heard a lot of Trump supporters say. That's just factually inaccurate, especially with the Abraham Accords, especially with moving the embassy to Jerusalem. These are things that I'm very critical of Trump on, and I'm still having trouble announcing my support for Kamala Harris. It was a big moral decision to even come on the show in support of her, but that's because I don't support her again. I think that Donald Trump is going to be somebody that's far worse for the country than she will be.
So, did you know that this is the lowest civilian to combatant death rate of any war in recent history? Did you know that?
Is this going to be a Gaza topic? I'm so ready to go on Gaza. I'm so ready.
That because I can't just let your word genocide go because it's not a genocide. If it was a genocide, it would have ended 2 days later and it would have been fine. Everyone would be dead.
We'll have
so
to
it's not
keep
a
it at
genocide.
that, though.
Yeah, that's.
This is not a good argument, man. When the psychopathic Israel defenders understand that being like, if they wanted to, they could kill even more people. Oh, okay, got it. That's what we're doing. That's what we are looking at the morality of a situation over, okay? Your Honor, I know I killed 40 families, okay? But if I wanted to, I could have killed 100 families. Guess what? Calling me a serial killer in this situation is bad faith. Bad faith, I tell you. I could have killed a lot more, and I only chose to kill 40 families, okay? How dare you, Your Honor? I say. Bad faith, I say. That's not an argument, dumbass. Shut up. It's also stupid because, like, okay, Hitler genocided 12 million, 11 million total people. I think that's the full number. 6 million Jews. There were 6 million other Jews, so I guess that's not a genocide. Is an insane argument. If you made that argument, I'd be like, you're a Holocaust denier. Okay? The do you mean? And it's not like he did it in one day.
Time's sake, but I want to hear, going back to the prompt, you came in because you disagreed. You wouldn't vote for Trump unconditionally.
No, of course. I mean, I think as a moral human being that comes from a place of love with strong core values, I can't just give anyone, carte blanche that no matter what you do, you're going to have my love and support. But from, barring anything crazy like the situation that Joe mentioned, it's pretty much 100%. And actually, I am part of Jewish Voices for Trump, and I really appreciate all of the.
I'm a part of Jewish Voices for Trump. I was at the seminar that he gave on anti-Semitism where he was like, what the f- is wrong with you Jews? I gave you everything about Israel. That's all you care about. Everybody knows that Jews have like a bone in their brain that causes them only to care about Israel and nothing else. Why the f- are only 40% of you voting for me? And I loved it. As a part of the Jewish Voices for Trump, I loved when he said that. He is so right to say that.
Things that he's done for the Jewish people and for the state of Israel.
What has he done? Okay, for the state of Israel, yes. What has he done for the Jewish people? A Trump supporter went into a synagogue in Pennsylvania and killed 13 Jews, okay? He was a Trump supporter who had now decided he was outflanking Trump. He was like, still operating on Trumpian attitudes, by the way. He was like, unlimited immigration, Jews are causing this, and honestly, I hate it. And Donald Trump is not doing enough about it, so I'm going to take matters in my own hands. That's what he said. We know that's what he said because he wrote about it on Gab, which is still a website that functions. I don't know how. Which is Gab, for those of you who don't remember, is basically what Twitter is now. But it was, back then Twitter was too liberal, so they were like, we need a place to put all the Nazis in one area. Okay, he wrote about it. He was like, yeah, Jews are bringing unlimited amounts of immigrants into the country, so I'm going to go kill them. That's what he said. Okay? Or who could forget when Donald Trump did that other wonderful thing for the Jews when Nazis marched on the streets of Charlottesville and said, will not replace us, and said blood and soil, and swung their swastika flags around. And then Donald Trump turned around and said, there were very fine people on the side of the Nazis too. I mean, calm down. Okay. Hold up now. Was that a good thing that Trump did for the Jews? In terms of things that Donald Trump did domestically for the Jewish demographic, not exactly great, okay? Obviously, if we're talking about working class Jews, same principle. Donald Trump was dog shit for working class Americans across the board, including working class Jews, But if we're talking about like anti-Semitism specifically, his fan base loved that. So the idea that Donald Trump did a lot for American Jews without talking about Israel is a really silly thing. And seems to me like American Jews don't really care about Israel all that much. I mean, there are definitely some who do, this person included, but it's far from like the #1 priority for American Jews, because guess what? They don't live in Israel. They live in America. Shut up. Okay? God damn.
As well. So
The next prompt is, Harris beat Trump in the debate. Will the agreeers please step forward?
He can never openly support Jewish people or Israel. His supporters would crucify him. You're wrong. His most anti-Semitic supporters that aren't Nazis, that resemble the exact same opinions of Nazis, also happen to be evangelical Christians. They love Israel. They don't love Jews. They hate Jews, but they love Israel. There's a theological justification for it. I'm not going to get into it right now, but make no mistake, Donald Trump loves Israel, literally more popular in Israel than Benjamin Netanyahu, and more popular in Israel than he is here in the United States of America. That is a fact. A fact that he even recognized at the anti-Semitism conference, as a matter of fact. Let's continue.
We're all looking at you.
I'm happy to see you join us.
Hey.
Unfortunately, when I watched the debate, a lot of Republicans were saying that Trump was going to completely obliterate Kamala Harris, and I was one of those people, but I'm the kind of person, I got to be factual and honest, and I can't lie to myself. Let's get the
Bro's got the Trump hat on, and he's somehow more rational than all the other. He's somehow more rational than all the other Trump supporters. How is that even possible?
obvious out of the way. It was a little bit bogus against Trump with 1 versus 3. They only fact-checked Trump. They didn't really fact-check Kamala as much as I think they should have.
But when one
We don't have
candidate
to
lies
fact check
more.
when
You
we're
don't
telling
have
the
to,
truth
yeah.
and telling
And,
facts.
and basically, the only 2 times that they did fact check was, we don't murder babies after 9 months, and Haitians aren't eating dogs in Ohio.
What? I don't think evangelicals hate Jews. That's just not true. Brother, okay, let me tell you something, okay? If your religious justifications for the maintenance of Israel being given to the chosen sons of God ends up in that story with all of the Jews burning in eternal hellfire, then I don't think you give a about Jews at all. Okay? Like, what do you mean? Dude, evangelical Christians that have a religious justification for maintaining Israel as a Jews don't burn in Christianity, yes, they do. Jews that will not convert to evangelical Christianity when the rapture comes around, when Jesus Christ is fighting Megiddo, or fighting Satan's armies in Megiddo, the Jews that don't convert to evangelical Christianity will absolutely burn in eternal damnation in hellfire, just like the rest of us non-believers, okay? Brother, evangelical Christians think Catholics are going to burn in hell. What are you talking about? That's not specific to all Jews, though. That's everyone. What are you saying? You're agreeing with me. The hate isn't for Jews. It's just ignorance. Yeah, okay. Imagine an American Christian having any meaningful level of religious literacy. No, of course not. Nah, dude, you don't understand. They're equal opportunity haters, not just Jews. I don't think it stems from anti-Semitism, though. Listen, anti-Semitism is pretty widely shared in general. The notion that, like, Jews are somehow a monolithic force, they're an outsider, that they control the media, they control powerful institutions, and they all operate with the same interest. That interest happens to be Israel in this circumstance. But in general, like total and utter domination. A lot of Americans, not just evangelical Christians, also maintain these beliefs. The reason why I find it funny with evangelicals in particular is because they are so pro-Israel. But then at the end of that story, all the Jews die. So I think that's hilarious that they're like, oh, yeah, we love Israel. Am Israel high, brother. But also they're all going to die and burn in hell if they don't convert to Christianity. But then beyond that, I've seen, like, I know how evangelicals operate in general, especially in the Deep South, where they're segregated, where they're not exactly around Jewish people in general, where they will somehow simultaneously believe that, Jews are the chosen sons of God, but also they're magic money people who might have horns and tails. Like, it's just being pro-Israel does not automatically make you not an anti-Semite. As a matter of fact, more anti-Semites are pro-Israel, okay? That's true, though. That's true for sure. Okay, I don't think you meant, Jews are magic money people with horns. That's not what you were saying. That's true for sure, too. Okay? Anyway, the greatest example I will always use is Pastor John Hagee, a very famous televangelist who Israel loves. Okay, he was literally at the pro-Israel rally in D.C. John Hagee famously said Holocaust was good because it led to the creation of Israel. Okay. He also said Hitler was Jewish. You know, not exactly a guy who I think is, I don't know, even remotely considered a pro-Jewish man overall. He is pro-Israel, however. He's very pro-Israel, so Israel loves him. Israeli envoys love him, but not necessarily pro-Jew, if you catch my drift, okay?
Well, Kamala Harris perpetuated the myth that Donald Trump said there are fine people on both sides, even though Politico came out and said that this is missing a lot of context.
Do you need to see the video?
When Trump said there are fine people on both sides, he was talking about two kinds of people. One were historians who wanted to keep the Robert E. Lee statue in place.
Yikes, this streamer. What? So untrue. How does anyone watch this? Lol, a guy who hasn't stepped foot in Israel spewing such thinks. So untrue, Hasan. Imagine speaking for the majority of Jews, though. First of all, I don't give a about speaking for the majority of anything. I'm just speaking for humanity and what my moral position is on any issue. Okay, I'm anti-genocide across the board. Sorry if that frustrates you. But also, nothing I said about Pastor John Hagee was untrue. I wasn't even talking about Jews. I was talking about evangelical Christians. You said get owned? What? Okay, you might be a little stupid to understand words that are coming out of my mouth. It's okay though. We'll catch up with you in a little bit when your mind reboots.
And the other group were people who wanted to tear the statue down. So the Antifa, the left-wing individuals, and the historians. These were the two groups of people he initially were talking about. Now the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists and the hooligans who came to interrupt, this was an outside group.
To be fair, using a televangelist is kind of bad faith. That's crazy to say using a televangelist is an example of bad faith. This person commands the will of thousands. Are you kidding me? He was invited to speak at the pro-Israel rally in Washington, D.C. That is an insane thing. He's one of the leaders. What are we talking about? What? And that's just one example I just used. There are many others. Did you just, what's the argument here? Former believer / seminary student here. That's not entirely true. Using a televangelist as an example is bad faith. You're right. The famously not famous televangelist. I didn't even just say like an evangelical pastor with a small congregation. I used a very specific, very famous televangelist for a very specific reason. And you're in here making the argument that televangelists are not, especially this one in particular, are not famous or influential? What? That's crazy.
Who came to Charlottesville to stir up trouble. So when people say that there are...
I just really have to stop.
So when Donald Trump...
You're referring to them as historians when we're talking about people who chanted Jews...
Chatter said... The founder of Christians United for Israel, the largest pro-Israel group in the United States of America by donations, is actually an insignificant small bean in the grand scheme of things. Just a small guy, you know, just your local pastor, dude. He's just got some crazy ideas. Like, what is happening, dude? Then Trump is not representative of the Republican Party. He's just a small bean TV guy, you know? What? Who can I use as an example, if not that guy? He is literally the guy. That's crazy, man.
Will not replace us.
But
and neo-Nazi chants that were used in World War II.
He's talking about
Charlottesville.
What it seems like is historians that were sympathetic to keeping the statues in public view.
And we're talking about a statue of Robert E. Lee, a Civil War general.
But even the historians that you're referencing, if they were actual historians, wouldn't you want those types of statues in something like a museum or somewhere where people can learn the historical context, not in the public?
And let's talk about what those historians did. They enslaved your people.
I think we've covered, just so you know, I think we've covered this part. Remember, the prompt is, I think Harris won the debate.
We forgot about the prompt already.
Yes, to be honest, I want to extend I have mad respect.
Absolutely.
For anybody here, any Trump supporter who will stand here in this room and say anything in support of the guy who gave that debate performance. Literally speaking as a Filipino person who for years, we have a play named Dog Eaters on us. It was dog eating and othering of meats were used to other us and to make us feel like some other kind of different, dehumanizing thing because we were eating people's pets. And now they're putting it on Haitians. And now there's bomb threats in Ohio because of this ridiculous thing that he spewed because he...
W. Uncto, A1 Yapper, yeah, he loves yapping.
Got triggered because Kamala talked about how people were walking out of his crowds because he's bored and tired and senile.
And the main reason why I am sitting down is because Donald Trump took too much bait. I think that that kind of performance was okay against Biden. And if you guys notice, a lot of the things he said against Kamala, he said against Biden. About the abortion, the baby being killed after it's born, he never should have said that. About a lot of the points that he made against Biden, and he did it against Kamala too. But the thing is, Biden literally just fell apart and quote unquote died on stage, what we saw last time, and that's why they switched him out with Kamala. So I guess Trump I was expecting him to change his playbook. You have to go after her record.
Okay, this video is much better than the other format, the 20v1 format.
Well, it's hard to go after her record when she's impeccable, right? We have
the only qualified person there.
A prosecutor, an attorney general, a senator, and a vice president. So for him to go after her, he can't go after her policy because it's good. All he can do is make the same old, she said it herself, the same old playbook, and that's what we saw. And she totally destroyed him. She came with facts. She also just pointed out just how ridiculous the things were that he was saying, to your point about the, eating dogs and all of that stuff. I mean, none of it was factual. It had already been released that none of that stuff was true, and he still put it forward. But I respect you for coming forward.
We're gonna pause here. We're gonna bring in our disagreeers.
So I would say that when I judge, my kids play sports, when I judge who won or who didn't win, I want it to be an even playing field, and I think it should be a fair contest. And I know you guys love Kamala Harris, and you think she has an impeccable record.
Kamala.
But CNN has pronounced it 12, 20 times on record. Different ways.
We're telling you how to.
Just like every other person.
Semantics, you guys. Let's not get stuck. Let's go to policies.
Can we just pronounce your name right, please?
Let's go past this and hear the rest of Sheila.
So I think that there have been a lot of things that have been fact-checked by social media influencers and commentators like myself on Ms. Harris's policies and what she said as well. And there are certainly things that could have been fact-checked on that end as well.
Like what?
And I too am an immigrant. My family escaped on the back of a pickup truck from Iran in 1985 while being shot at by border police. I spent a night in the Pakistani deserts. We were caught, and we had to escape, and it took 6 months for my family to come here not speaking English. We left everything behind, started from nothing, living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 8 people in it. The reason why I say that is, America is the greatest country on earth, and to erase its history instead of learning from it is what they did in China. Unburdening what has been. Let me just finish. Unburdening what has been and looking forward to what can be is literally what was used by people trying to get rid of the old and bringing in the new world, like China Communist Party.
The group of people being affected by those statues are telling you what it's doing to us.
Correct.
Iranians or the Cubans of the MENA region, this is a Hasanabi position. I've said this so much, and not all Iranians, obviously, but Iranians living in Los Angeles, okay? Persians are so Cuban diaspora coded. It is crazy, okay? Shah writers especially.
He's the one that suggested to go into a museum.
We're talking a lot about this statue,
Seriously,
but we do want to hear about the debate. Let's just switch back to the debate. If we want to talk about the statue again later, we totally can.
Yeah. I don't think either one of them won the debate.
You were the Cubans of Asia. The Cubans of Asia are older Vietnamese, and the Cubans of Africa, I don't know. I don't know who would be like the closest to the Cuban diaspora among Africans, but I think I think the older Viet population very, very right wing. I wouldn't even say like South Koreans to that same degree, honestly. White South Africans, okay, that doesn't count, dude. Come on. Egyptians, not really. White South Africans doesn't count. That's like, come on, that's just like British by a different name. Okay, calm down. But like not even Nigerians, because like Nigerians fresh off the boat, maybe, but Nigerians like 2 years into living in America and recognizing that like Americans make no distinction between you and other black people in the same way that you thought there was a distinction that existed. Once that goes away, it's like, is over. No, Nigerians should have think they're better than us other black people. No, I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. You'd be surprised the whole Black American versus Africa discussions. No, I'm very familiar with the Black American versus Africa discussions. I am very, very familiar with it. It's just that kind of goes away after your like first or second police stop in the United States of America, because then you realize like, oh, okay, never mind. Anyway, let's move on from black people business.
I feel like the only people that really lost were, other than them, was the American people. I imagine we can all kind of agree on that. Nothing was really said. Nothing was really, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but nothing ever actually gets done. I think as far as the debate goes, Trump dropped the ball on a couple things. The Medicare or Medicaid conversation or question that he received, he kind of.
I can't believe there are Iranians who are Trump supporters. Oh my God. My friend, let me tell you something. You have never been to Los Angeles, my friend. Okay? Saying I can't believe there are Iranians who are Trump supporters is like saying I can't believe there are Cubans who are Trump supporters. It's the opposite, where you're like, I can't believe there are Iranians that are not Trump supporters. Bro, he destroyed us. What do you mean? Yeah. Because you're Iranian. I don't think they see it the same way.
I dropped the ball on that one. But other than that, it was just a bunch of zingers and like back and forth and
all about ego.
Putting your hand up to make sure that the other side knows that you're judging I'm judging you, Trump. Like it was more show than anything. Kamala handled herself. I'll give you that. Like Kamala did a lot better than a lot of people thought she did. I think that's why a lot of people are saying she won, because we all, she did better than Biden. And anybody that did better than Biden, it's like, hell yeah, we have a winner, guys.
Well,
but at the end
we
of
all
the day,
agree that was a low bar.
Yeah.
We're going to reset.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for.
They probably did it because they
Let in.
allowed people.
From Trump, from the debate.
They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country, and they're now in the United States. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it.
If you agree.
Someone is asking what the Cuban and Iranian thing is. Yes, Cubans in America, Cubans in diaspora are very reactionary, very right-wing, okay? Especially older populations. So because of like the famous nature of not only amnesty, but also America's relationship with Cuba in general, and the ways in which the Cuban diaspora has formed its political opinions in the United States of America, specifically Florida, has we just use it as a catch-all term for reactionary diaspora, as opposed to like the interests of the people back home in the host nation. This does not mean like every single Cuban that is in the United States of America is like that, but most people understand like the broad majority of the Cuban diaspora living in Florida, especially older Cubans, are very right-wing.
With that quote, step forward.
Oh, it's just us. Okay. From that quote, at least from what I got personally, was he was talking about the illegal immigrants that aren't being background checked, that are being let in. Personally, to me, my grandparents and my mother are immigrants. They're not from here, and they came here and they worked very hard to get their residency and their citizenship, and they went through all the bells and whistles to get through here.
Which is why I think everyone else should also suffer a similar fate.
And so they're letting people in. I mean, it's affected so many of my friends that live towards the border of San Diego, places like that.
So many Republicans' attitudes are basically like, I had to go through so much chemotherapy to get rid of cancer in my body, okay? And that's why I am against cancer vaccines. Like, it's just that. And she didn't even have to go through any of that. I'm just saying, like, she's carrying the resentment of the older generation with her. And it's very weird. Like, if you have overcome great odds, not her, because she's a fetus, but her parents, it makes no sense that you would want others to be subjected to the same thing. I just don't understand it. It literally does not make sense to me at all. This is one of the core principles of like reactionary conservatives that I just cannot even understand a little bit. I just don't get it. And it's the same principle across the board. Like, it literally is, it's just such a boomer mindset where it's like, nah, I had to pick myself up by my bootstraps, so you have to too. It's like, no, man, shut the fuck up. The whole point is supposed to be we ease it for everybody else. Like, what's wrong with you? It's so annoying when I hear this about student loan debt. Like, I not only paid my own student loans, I paid my mother's student loans, I paid my brother's student loans, and I don't think anyone should have to pay student loans. They should get student loan debt relief, okay? I will never understand people that are like, well, I paid it, so you have to as well. It's you, man. You're just a selfish piece of shit. It is purely a policy surrounding resentment, jealousy, entitlement, nothing else.
They are letting people in that are criminals, that are not being checked well, or at least not being checked at all. And I think that's what he meant. He kind of has a really sassy way of saying things, or kind of just, sometimes I feel like he's not very eloquent at times. And so he says things and people are like, well, what does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. That's at least the context that I'm getting it from. That's at least what I can see, and that's at least what's been proven, so.
I also feel that way. I feel like a lot of the people that are just being willy-nilly let in here they're passing multiple other countries just to get to America, to claim asylum in America. I don't blame anybody for coming here at all. If I was born outside of this country, I would want to do the exact same thing.
But that's why we have to kill the people that are coming here now. I understand why they want to get here, but them.
Us as Americans, all of us, hit the lottery when we got born here. And if you've come here legally through the process, my issue is
like his position is more understandable than hers, because at least like she somehow understands how long and arduous and complex the process of like getting citizenship is. He doesn't. So that's why he can so callously be like, yeah, come through the legal means. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? You have no idea how hard this process is. Okay, shut up. It is deliberately difficult. Also, many of the people that you're talking shit are legal asylum seekers, which means they are actually following the process. They are following the protocol. You have to step foot inside of the United States to seek asylum. Shut the fuck up. But for a lot of these people, the distinction between a legal Haitian migrant and an illegal migrant is nothing. It's just they realize that it's paperwork and they just don't want them to have the paperwork. That's it.
People that are just being let in, oh, they claimed asylum, here's a bank card, here's a cell phone, and by the way, show up to this court date in 3 years, promise, right? Like pinky promise. And then they just let them go. They send them to whatever city, Chicago, New York. The people that actually live there are the ones in Colorado, where I'm from. We are the ones that are actually seeing this stuff and being affected by it, whether it's people driving on the road without license plates, insurance, don't know how to drive because they're coming from whatever country they're coming from. But every single person that comes in here illegally is being counted in the census.
All of the things that he brought forward was about like Haitian migrants, and every single one of those Haitian migrants are like legally here. They are TPS recipients, some of which got the TPS from Donald Trump, mind you.
Count these people in the census. That's going to give people more house seats, I'm pretty sure. And I don't want to misspeak.
No,
hopefully
right.
A little truth bubble will pop up at the bottom. But they're getting house seats. They're getting electoral votes. These things matter when it comes to the election. That's the only thing I care about. I don't care if...
Wait, when the Census Bureau describes unauthorized immigrants with the residents are included with the resident population, the resident population is used for... Is he mad that like people that are currently on U.S. soil are counted in the census as people that are currently living on U.S. soil? Like they can't vote, dog. I mean, we do the same for criminals too that are in prison. They can't vote. They don't have the same level of... They don't have the same rights as you do. But of course they have to be counted, because obviously they're still people, and that means they're going to be driving on the roads. They're going to be taking, they're going to be using the public transit. You need to make budget decisions, okay? And they're still human beings that are living on U.S. soil, so of course they're going to be counted. What the Not only that, but they also pay taxes, but that's besides the point. Like, what do you mean? You don't want them to be counted? Like, okay, so what then? What happens when there is need for more allocation of resources because there's more people living there? Sorry, we don't want to do that. We can't do that. We just decided you're not a human being.
If people are coming here legally and want to live a better life, want to have that American dream. That being said, like, you're taking away things, taxpayer money that all of us as taxpayers are paying that should be going to Americans, should be going to veterans. Veterans are, make up, I want to say, less than 8% of the American population, and less than 2% of Americans join the military and volunteer to join our military forces. And the fact that we have homeless vets.
Good. It should be even lower than that. Okay. It should be 0%. And it will. By the time I'm done with it, it will be.
Should not be a thing. And we're just giving this money to these people that come.
Yeah, dude. I can't believe there's homeless veterans, dude. Yeah, I know. That should give you, I don't know, an understanding that should cause you to understand that America doesn't give a f about veterans, dog. No, these guys only use veterans as a counterpoint when talking about immigrants. It's so tired and old and
come here illegally, don't play by the same rules.
I see a lot of nods. Do you believe that this is an intentional strategy? You talked about like the sense, how it affects the census.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, over 16 million people have come into this country illegally during this administration. And immigration actually is the thing that catapulted me from Democrat to Republican. I'm from Chicago. And as you know, we have the migrant crisis, thousands upon thousands. We're talking 50,000 illegal immigrants that just hit our city. And I actually did vote for Biden. I'll whisper and say that, not that proud to admit it now. But I remember when they first turned a school in my area into a migrant shelter. And it was the Wadsworth Elementary School. And they also turned South Shore High School into a migrant shelter as well. When they did that, I remember the protest. I remember going to these community meetings that they have about how they're going to explain to you how immigrants need help. And I remember sitting there as a person who voted for Biden, and I'm just listening to these people, the aldermen, city council members, pro-immigrant groups. They come to lecture us black folk on the south side of Chicago. And they talk to us like we're stupid. These people are from Venezuela. They speak Spanish. They live in poverty. They need help. And that's why this facility in your neighborhood is being turned into a migrant shelter. So it's very frustrating with the Democrats is sort of lecturing this condescending tone that they use against you. I don't need to be lectured to about what people need.
Bro, you need to be lectured about a lot of okay? Like, I'm gonna be real. You need to go back to school, okay? Everyone does. God damn.
People in Chicago need help. Veterans, as you were saying earlier, they need help. Poor people need help.
There is no clear indication that these people don't give a f about veterans than the fact that they only bring up veterans when talking about, like, immigrants, dude. It's just so obvious. Like, if you gave a f about veterans, you'd be talking about it in other circumstances, but you don't, because you don't care.
We have a lot of problems in our own community, and I respect people and I understand the passion and ambition behind people who come to this country. But to explain and lecture to me why I have to be quiet and accept it, that's never going to happen.
I know that we have more to say, but I'm going to bring in the disagreeers for time.
So I might let some of the people on my side even talk about Biden's shift to the right when it comes to immigration, more deportations in the Trump administration. That's not something that I'm particularly passionate about. I don't really believe in removing people who are fleeing political persecution or looking for a better life for their families. What I would say to the people that are worried about vetting or worried about who necessarily is in this country is increase the pathway to citizenship. Not only should we be able to vet who these people are, we'll be able to add them and actually fully understand what they're here for, what their motivations are. And if you want to garner those voters, you got to capitulate to those voters. And I think Republicans can do that. A lot of Hispanics that come from there have conservative values. You shouldn't just write them off as people that can't drive or people that are not talented.
No, I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm just saying.
You're saying they might not even be qualified to drive a vehicle. I mean, like, that's kind of
No, Joe, I just want to really quick.
Go
I want to
for it.
just ask you a real quick question. Can you please define what immigrants who are seeking asylum means?
So I'm political persecution, like you were saying, or somebody's going to murder them or whatever it is.
Okay.
I get, like, it could be 100% true. I'm not
So
like.
are those things
let him
currently?
finish.
I'm just asking. Are
But
those
you're
things,
assuming everyone is coming here is like literally being shot at like my family was, or actually, but when you see the videos,
Oh yeah, only my family was fleeing political persecution. No one else. Only me.
But what about your family? Let's talk about your family.
So why aren't we talking about the bipartisan bills where the Republicans
we're
had a
shouting over each other,
chance
we
to do
can't.
something about
So Joe tried to answer your question. Why are you asking it?
I'm asking it because I have a lot of people in the Filipino-American community who seek asylum during the Marcos regime. I have a lot of different immigrant families, probably like yours in Iran, who's looked for asylum during the controversies and the tumult in Iran. And Trump, in his initial presidential election, wanted to ban Muslims from coming to America.
it was not a Muslim ban. It was not
a travel ban.
It was a travel.
You're right. It was Muslim Whole countries,
Are
which
they-
is what he said.
Just going
He
off
said
what you
it.
said, are they whole countries? Is Haiti or Somalia?
Are you really going to classify?
I'm just asking.
The term third world is offensive to me, bro. Because
Really?
you're talking yes, you're talking about a subhuman.
No,
you're talking
it's not
about
that
people
it's a
who aren't as
subhuman.
developed as.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think the Trump guys. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna assume that the Trump guys don't know the origination of the term third world in terms of like its alignment or lack of alignment during the Cold War. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that they use it as a catch-all term for a whole country. Okay. So he's not wrong. I mean, third world or developing nations is a more politically appropriate terminology for a catch-all term is used by Trump supporters in a very condescending way. And yeah, third world. How about you care more about the top of the hour, okay? Third world. I said third world. Well, there's a 3-minute ad break coming for you right now. All right? A 3-minute one. Yeah, the third world at the top of the hour. Oh, Jesus Christ. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5. Well, $4.20 are for free with the Twitch Prime. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
As we are, so they're the third
The
world.
countries
Give me a break. Some of these
economically-
people have given you some of the
It's an
biggest
economic-
scientific
Eric, I
innovations
have
in the
one-
world.
So
Eric,
if you're
I have one quick-
stoning women after they've been raped,
In the
hold on,
Bible,
let me,
bro,
let-
not
no, 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 no,
I'm
no.
from
What? Why'd he go to stoning women? What the
Iran, and it happens now.
I want to close the loop on Eric's point. Eric, what are you saying that it's the U.S.'s responsibility to take people in who are seeking asylum?
I'm saying that Ronald Reagan said that the United States was a shining city on a hill, right? That's the basis of your guys' philosophy,
I
right?
What are you saying?
I'm saying that this has been and has been forever a country of immigrants.
Why can't they stop at the other countries they stopped at to get here? That is
Where
my
are we
only
connected?
point.
Why
That's
can't they
my
just
only
go
point.
back to where they came from?
It's so funny to be like, to tell a Guatemalan, why don't you stop in Mexico? It's like, dog, there's motherfuckers in Mexico coming into America. That's why the Guatemalan is not stopping in Mexico. What do you mean? Like, I always find it very funny when people are just like, I don't get it. The Guatemalan should just stop at Honduras and move not even an inch further, okay? What a stupid argument. When Trump was advancing this argument, wait, Moldova Maliga is chirping at me. Hold on, where is it? Where is it? Why is it not showing up? Okay, Moldova Maliga said, so more immigrants want to come to the United States, but it's also a country by your estimation at the same time. And the answer is yes. More immigrants want to come here, but the U.S. is a failing nation at the same time. That's what Trump is saying. It's true, though. The problem is Trump is the reason, or at least one of the many reasons as to why the United States is a failing nation. Okay, he's an accelerant on that correct argument that he's making. Meanwhile, March is here, so that 3-minute ad break that I just served you is the last one I'm going to be doing today because I have to do the podcast. We're filming the Fear and podcast, folks. So I have to go and do that right now. I apologize for everybody, but I'll be back tomorrow. No, Nick is going to be, unfortunately, too late. He's late. He's late, and it's his fault.